Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes, and you're listening to the Business Bootcamp podcast. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 of the top questions that have been asked about me and my personal life, the things I usually don't talk about. I'll be answering those on today's show. Before we get into today's show, a big thank you to Gusto. If you haven't already, go to gusto.com. That's gusto.com/bootcamp. Try out their software for 90 days. Now, the big announcement for them is that they are now lowering their price to create a very, very cheap package for people who just want to process only payroll. Like if you just want to, like where you submit payroll hours and they take care of like workers comp and FICA, FUCA and all the other stuff, like it's really, really cheap. $6 a month now per employee. Absolute bargain. You can obviously upgrade to the stuff that all the other benefits and things like that. But if you just want them to submit payroll for you, take care of W-2s, take care of workers' compensation and all the other, Social Security and all that other distribution stuff, they can do that for you and do the automatic deposits and all that. $6 a month. Check it out and get 3 entire months for free if you go to gusto.com/bootcamp. Now today, what I did is I actually went through all my emails that I put into a folder that I don't get to, and I went through a bunch of them the other day, and most of them are ones that I just haven't answered because there's more about my personal life, and I usually don't talk about that. So I figured today I would talk about it again because this week I got about 5 or 6 emails that were kind of revolving around this, and I usually don't talk about it a lot, not because I have anything to hide, just because this is not a show about me, but for today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of my personal experiences, stuff like that have kind of consistently come up in emails and people ask me questions. And this week, 2 people were like, hey, you never responded to my email. And I'm like, yes, it's in this folder. That means I don't want to answer it right now. So I'm just going to take some of the top questions that I usually don't talk about a whole lot and dig into those today. So if you don't care about my personal life or what I do and how I got to where I'm at and some of the things that people ask about a lot, just don't worry about this episode. Listen to another one. Come back next week and we'll have another regularly scheduled program. But today I'm going to answer just like 6 or 7 questions that are kind of consistently coming in that I want to just answer for you all. And some of these I have talked about just earlier in the podcast days because now it's been almost 6 years, which is crazy. And so some of these have been answered. It might not be new to you, but if you're new to the show, these might be new questions, I guess, to you because I get them a lot. So first question, so I summarized these. These are not verbatim. I just kind of summarized these into the top several that I got in emails. So first one was basically like, what's my favorite workout? So yes, I do work out. I try to work out every day. 5 to 6 days a week at the very least. If I get 5, that's really not good. 2 days out of the week for me not to work out, I'm not feeling good. I usually do 6 or 7 days a week, even if it's just small. Generally, I don't work out very long, nothing more than 30 minutes, just because I'm pretty busy, I have a lot going on, but it's something I have to do. And so I just gotta sweat. I just literally I need to sweat every day. And so I need to get my heart rate up really high. So I usually do high intensity stuff. And so even when I'm lifting, I don't have long sets. I keep my breaks pretty short, and I'll sweat while I'm actually lifting. So it reduces the amount of mass that I can, I'm never going to be this big bulky guy. I don't lift very heavy at all. I don't deadlift hardly anything. I don't bench very heavy. I do a lot more plyometric stuff. So I should go back to the question. Favorite workout? Anything to do with plyometric, I really like. So box jumps, really like those. When you jump on is it 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall? I forget. It's like a plyo box. I love jumping on plyo boxes. Not the best for my knees, so I gotta make sure I don't do it too much. I like push-up plyo. So anything with jumping push-ups, I like doing where I have dumbbells and you literally just crawl across the room doing push-ups on alterations. And so you're basically doing what's called a Superman push-up, back and forth. And so you do a push-up and then you move forward and you work your whole upper body. I love that stuff. I love when I'm able to combine lifting weights with cardio. And so I really like being functionally fit, so I like being able to go run 5-6 miles if I want to, and then I also like to go like flip something really heavy like a tire. Like literally outside the studio, I have 4 tires that I can flip. So I really enjoy that. I enjoy running stairs. I love running stairs. It's an amazing workout. If you haven't done it before, go to a local park, go to like an empty stadium, and run stairs. Running stairs is probably one of the ways I get frustration out really, really well. Same thing with running. When I am frustrated, that's something I love to do, just to like get the steam out, because I'm sitting all day usually in meetings, phone calls, recording stuff on my computer, driving. And so my physical exercise is super important to me, even if it's like 15 minutes. If I get 15 minutes of like jump squats and alternating lunges, like I'm good. And my shortest workout is 9 minutes. Basically what I do is I do 15 burpees every minute for 9 minutes. And so I think that's 135 burpees. And that will absolutely kill you. It's great. 9 minutes, get you a good workout in, get you sweating. Like you'll be starting to sweat that last couple minutes, and that's all I need. So like at the very worst, on weeks when I'm really, really crazy busy, not getting much sleep, like I just need a couple of those to keep me going. And so for me, my workouts are intense, very intense, short, and then I like to lift weights at least twice a week on top of cardio. I really enjoy cardio. Most people do not like cardio, and most people look at me and think I lift a lot, but I really don't lift a whole lot. I really enjoy cardio, and I really enjoy doing things really, really hard. So that's that. Number 2 is, what do I do to de-stress? So this is other forms of this question were coming, kind of like de-stress. How do I like unplug, like all that sort of thing? And it kind of comes back to the first thing, which is working out. Second thing is prayer. So like I've said before, if I can work out and I can have a connection spiritually every single day, I feel like I can pretty much do anything and everything. And maybe that makes me burn out a little bit by even thinking that way. But as long as I can do that, I can get through. Yes, there's times I'm stressed. Yes, there's times where my biggest problem, I've actually only recently kind of come to this conclusion, is that like I'm my worst when I don't feel challenged. Like when things are not too easy, that's not what I'm trying to say. When I don't feel like what I'm doing every day is getting somewhere, and it just feels like I'm doing the same thing all the time, or I'm not doing a very good job at doing the same thing every single day. I'm not somehow making it better. I'm not making incremental progress. I just feel like it makes me a little bit agitated. It makes me grumpy. I don't like it at all. And so that's when I feel the most stressed, I guess you'd say. And I don't operate very well in terms of like when I feel negative about anything. So like if I have to feel negative for like 2, 3, 4 days straight about people or about a situation, like physically, like everything, I don't operate well. Like I operate really well when I am thinking positively, and when negative stuff pops into my head, I can like clean it out fast and just keep going. When I start dwelling on stuff that's negative, I don't do very well. And so, things that help me kind of disconnect from that is prayer and exercise. So those are the 2 things like are non-negotiables for me. If I don't do those every day or just about every single day, I would be a mess pretty fast. So those are the 2 things I do to de-stress. Third thing, this was took like a whole bunch of different ways of saying the question, but basically it was like biggest obstacle or time of difficulty that I overcame. And so some of these questions that came in more around the business side. Some people were more asking like from a personal side. So overall, from a business side, I've never had like a big cataclysmic failure like bankruptcy or like a business going under. I've had micro failures, and you start a business idea or you try to implement something in the business and it doesn't work and it just falls flat on its face. I had plenty of those. If you don't have those, it means you're not innovating and trying enough new things, in my opinion. But from a business standpoint, I never had anything major like that. If one day, I've always said one day it's going to happen, and I really look forward to that, because like it'll be like you hit the bottom and get another chance to like grow it all again. But I've never had that, and I don't risk a lot. Like I I take pretty calculated risks in business. I don't go into debt a lot. I don't leverage a lot. And that's baked into me a little bit just from my upbringing. So I don't really take a huge amount of risks. Like if I make failures, they're micro, they're pretty small. And then, hopefully the upside is enough to outweigh the small micro failures. And in terms of what biggest things personally, so like, a few years ago, is when I got caught underneath the dump truck and, got strangled and things like that. And I still have some scars underneath my arm and things. But during that period of time was like a really tough time for our family because we had a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Like people were getting sick and people had gotten into accidents, and it was just like 2 or 3 months of just craziness around that same time that I got stuck and got underneath the dump truck, which if you haven't heard that story, you're probably a new listener. So basically what happened is I was underneath a dump truck. My hoodie that I was wearing got caught in the PTO of a dump truck, which is the thing that spins underneath and basically allows the dump truck to dump. And so it got caught, it strangled me, it tore, and I went to the hospital and things. They thought I had a concussion. They thought I might have broke my neck. And fortunately, none of those things happened. I was able to recover after a couple of weeks and get back to work. But around that time, there was just like a lot of stuff happening in my family around sicknesses, and like people were getting into accidents and at work and on the road and like all sorts of stuff. It was a crazy time. We got through it and we're stronger because of it. So 4th question. How did you go to college at 13 years old? No, did you go to college at 13 years old? So some people are asking me, did I go to college? Because they'd heard that before at the age of 13, and then how did I do it? So I did start college when I was 13 years old. My birthday is September 13th, and that year the college started like the first week of September. So I was only 13 for a couple weeks of college, but I was 13 when I started college, and I started at our local college here, and then I transferred to a university also locally, Western Washington University. And so that's where I did my schooling, my university, and I thought I was going to become become a doctor, and more specifically a surgeon. And so because that specialty that I wanted to go into of brain surgery takes so long to study for, I figured I should get a jump start on my education. And so it wasn't driven by my parents. My parents never pushed me into, getting ahead or like skipping grades or anything like that. It was, in fact, they were the opposite. Like, hey, you don't need to do this sort of thing. And so I did that. How I did it? So I started kindergarten at the age of 4 because in Canada, where I started my elementary school, they start kindergarten at 5 years old in Canada. Well, my brother, he was 2 years older than me, so he was already in school. And when I was 3, he was getting homeschooled in kindergarten. So he was 5, I was 3. At home, my best friend and my brother getting kindergarten, learning his ABCs and how to read. Well, I just sat there and listened to everything. So I'm 3 years old, just kind of listening to him getting taught by my mom on doing homeschool in kindergarten. So I basically learned everything. And then we moved up to Canada, and so now he was in grade 1. And I didn't want to stay at home all day, so we basically got permission for me to go to kindergarten a year early. So I was 4 years old, went to kindergarten, which is a year early in Canada. And at 4 years old, I finished kindergarten. The next year rolls around, and I'm 5 years old, and my age group is now coming into kindergarten. And my mom was like, "You're really, really small," because I was really small. I'm still small today. I'm only 5, not even 5'5". And so, am I? Yeah, 5. I'm not even 5'5". I'm like 5'4 3/4. But anyways, she's like, "Hey, you're really small," because I was just a tiny little guy, and she didn't want me to have to go through that my whole childhood, which ended up happening. But anyways, I was really small even at that age. So she's like, "Hey, we're gonna hold you back a year." So I did kindergarten again at the school with my age level, my age group. Well, by that time, at age 3, I basically sat through kindergarten at home with my brother. Then I did kindergarten again when I was 4. Then now I'm doing kindergarten again when I was 5 with my age group. So what it did is it kind of, number one, made me super confident in what I was learning. Secondly, right from the onset, I was teaching my peers, because kindergarten, I'm reading, I'm literally teaching them things. And so it just kind of set you in that pattern of, I was expected, like I just expected myself to know things and be able to then teach it to my peers. And so from that really young age, I was teaching them things. And so throughout primary school, K1, 2, 3, what was nice is the school I went to is private up in Canada at our church. And they have split grades. So they have kindergarten and grade 1 together. Then they have grade 2 and grade 3 together. So what I could do is when I was like in grade 2, I could do all the grade 3 math, and I could do all the grade 3 spelling, and I could do like other grade 3 stuff. And then, which was super awesome. And so I was able to kind of learn the grade ahead of me. And then the following year, I'd basically be like teaching a lot more because I'd learned the stuff the year prior. Well, what happened is in grade 6, I finished grade 6. In grade 7, the first week of grade 7, because I had basically done a lot of the grade 7 stuff, right? And so, the second week into grade 7, my teacher was like, "Hey, you should skip a grade because you're just doing all the same stuff, and you should, get ahead." And so that was really cool. Again, you just look back, like I didn't really push it. I don't really remember how it happened. Like I was not pushing it a whole lot. I wanted to. I definitely did want to. My parents were definitely not pushing it at all. And I still remember the day. It was like a week, maybe 2 weeks into grade 7. The principal came up to my classroom in grade 6 and grade 7. He's like, "Hey, I need to talk to Michael." So I go out of the class. He's like, "Let's go to my office." So I go to his office, and he just was talking to me about, wanting me to be challenged more and all of this. And basically by the end of that conversation, 10, 15 minutes, he said, "Okay, well, go back upstairs, get what you need, and head over across the parking lot to the grade 8, 9 class." And so I skipped grade 7, basically. So first of all, I skipped grade 7. I did grade 8 at the school there. And then I was like, okay, there's this program where you can do high school and you can do college the last 2 years of high school. It's like grade 11 and 12, you can do your first 2 years of college. So what I did is like, okay, I need to get through grade 9 and 10 as fast as possible. So after finishing grade 8, I did a 1 year of homeschool, and I did grade 9 and 10 in 1 year. And so that was really cool. At the same time, I got really into golf. I played every single day of golf, and then I'd do as much school as I could to get ahead. So I did grade 9 and 10 in 1 year. And then my grade 11 and 12 high school, I did while I was doing college. So basically, I started college when I was 13, and when I graduated with my associate's degree, my first 2 years of college, I also graduated with my high school degree. So I did it all together. So that's basically how I started college really young, is I skipped grade. I started early with kindergarten. I skipped grade 7, and then I did grade 9 and 10 in 1 year, and then I did my first 2 years of college with my last 2 years of high school in the same couple of years. So that's basically what happened. There was people asked me a lot about my experiences throughout college. Was it weird? I did not think it was weird. I was really blessed. My parents did not make me feel special or strange for doing it. And so I thought it was super I knew I was young, and that was definitely, I knew I was young going into college, but it was never weird. It was never I never felt strange. I never really had social pressure or awkwardness. I know when I was going to go to college, they had never had someone as young as me in the college. So I had to meet, my mom and I had to go in to meet with the president of the college. And she just needed to make sure I was socially okay and could be okay in a college environment. And so fortunately she gave us the thumbs up, and I was cool. And, so yeah, we were off to the races, and it wasn't weird. A lot of people asked me about that, and in hindsight, it was wow, that'd be crazy. I was in classes with mostly 20-something-year-olds, and then there's also 30 and 40, 50 years old coming back to school, and it just did not seem weird. It felt finally something was challenging, and it was cool because I got to pick my own classes and different subjects, and so it was cool for me. And then I was really playing a lot of golf the first couple years of college, and so that's kind of my schooling in a nutshell and how I got to college so young. Number 5, So there's been questions about this like for a long time. I've always put these aside, and I'm not going to go deep into it. But I'll just say enough to where hopefully those emails stop. Number 5 is tell about your family. Are your parents business owners? So those around a lot of family questions. Basically, I have 2 siblings, an older brother, a younger sister. My parents are like the best parents in the world. They are not business owners. They have never owned businesses or anything like that. My dad is a minister up at the church that I went to school up in Canada at. My mom's a stay-at-home mom and is probably a big result of, I'm a result of a lot of her labors, being a stay-at-home mom and hard worker and things like that. She's from Australia originally, so I get some of that DNA in me too. I look exactly like my grandfather on her side. And so they're not business owners, and I really love my family. I'm very privileged, fortunate, blessed to have an incredible family. And I probably take them for granted a little bit. I don't spend enough time with them, and they're awesome. So that's about my family. Also, I did start my lawn care business way back when I was younger, which I think ties in the next question. Yeah, so number 6 is why did you start a lawn care business? Like, why did you get started in lawn care? So this ties into kind of the family thing. My brother and I started Andy's Lawn Care when I was 11 and he was 13. And so this is like, we knew we were going to be going to college earlier, and we knew that our parents wouldn't be able to afford us like to pay for our way and like gas and like just like living expenses and all that sort of stuff while we were going to college. And so we had some grants, and especially the first couple years, but you know, you still had to pay for stuff. So what we did is we're like, hey, we're going to go start this lawn care business. But that was a result of us going, and there was a friend of ours that had a big landscaping project that just needed a bunch of work done. So we went there. Again, I was 11, my brother was 13. And we did a bunch of work for them. And they probably owed us, if they would have paid us like $10 an hour, they probably owed us like $1,000. And they said, hey, you know what, we could pay you, or we will buy you like a mower, a weed eater, and a blower, and you can go get started on like your own mowing business. And so like I really look back to like those times, like that was crazy, because like that's what made Andy's Lawn Care, which turned into Augusta Lawn Care, which turned into Landscape Business Course, and which now we're franchising Augusta Lawn Care. So like that whole sequence of events was amazing. But again, I was 11, he was 13. We started Andy's Lawn Care. I still remember having Microsoft Publisher on this old laptop that was Windows 95 and putting together on Microsoft Publisher our first flyer. And I still remember printing out 200 flyers, stuffing them in envelopes, putting stamps on them. We were actually going to call it the Good Grass Guys, but we ended up just calling it Andy's Lawn Care. And making up the flyers, I remember that in Publisher. I was so proud of my design. I remember going to the post office and praying over the envelopes to make like that they would do successful and bring in new business. Sent out 200 of those in our neighborhood, and I think by the end of that year we had like something like 15 or 20 clients. And so we made like $3,000 in the summer, which for 11 and 13-year-olds like big money. And then we were off to the races. And so that was my brother. He was my original business partner at Andy's Lawn Care. And then later down the road, once I started Augusta, I started Augusta by myself, and then he finished his schooling. He became a teacher. Why did I start a lawn care business was basically to pay for college. We saved up a couple years and then went to college, because I started when I was 13. At college, but 11 years old when I started the lawn care business. And he didn't have his license. So we would take a wheelbarrow, we would take the push mower and literally walk like a long way. We'd walk 15 minutes, mow a lawn for 10 minutes, and walk 15 minutes back. So a lot of walking. And then when he turned 15, he got his permit to drive. And what we did is we took this old Dodge Grand Caravan. I think it was a 1995 Dodge Caravan. Sorry, Ford Aerostar. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Ford Aerostar, big box kind of looking vehicle, smashed it on one side, green. And what we did is we took out the seats out of the back rows, and then what we do is we would prop open the trunk because it didn't work. We'd prop it up with a piece of wood, and then we'd throw our push mowers in the back of there, and we had a trailer, and we had like a regular riding lawn mower on that, and we put our clippings in there. And so that that van literally got absolutely trashed because you got grass literally inside of a vehicle. Like there were mushrooms growing in the carpet. It was just gross. But good times, lots of good memories from those times. And yeah, so that's why we started Augusta Lawn Care. And it's just really crazy how it all turns out that, now I am, writing books about landscaping. I'm helping landscapers and franchising Augusta Lawn Care. And it all kind of really went back to one job we did when I was 11. And we got a push mower, a weed eater, and a blower. The push mower we got was from Lowe's, and it was like a $300 push mower. And we went through like 6 of them before we realized that we need to get a commercial mower. And so that was funny. Lots of crazy stories from back then, but that's basically why I started the lawn care business. All right, this is gonna be the last one I get to. Number 7, why did you buy a gym when it is a risky business? So I bought a gym last year, 2018. Anytime Fitness. It's a franchise. And so traditionally gyms are a pretty risky business. When people say that, they're usually looking at the numbers behind independent gyms. So this is a franchise, it's a part of a 4,000 plus gym chain of Anytime Fitness locations. And so it's a little bit different, number one. Number two, the whole trend of the United States is trending towards a healthier living, and with the cost of real estate going up so much, people are not getting their own home gyms anymore. They are just buying a gym membership. And so in my market as well, there's a lot of retirees and things, so it made a lot of sense from a financial standpoint. Secondly, we are franchising Augusta Lawn Care. So as I sit here, it's probably a few more weeks until we can actually start selling them, but we already have a wait list of, I think, like 30 some odd people that are ready to go for franchising. And, by the way, if you want to join that list, AugustaLawnCareServices.com/franchise, just give us your contact information. We will not spam you. We'll contact you in like a month once we can actually give you more information and things. But basically, I started the Anytime Fitness franchise so that I could get the behind the scenes of how a great franchisor worked. In 2016, Anytime Fitness was ranked the #1 franchisor in America by Entrepreneur Magazine. So they're a great franchisor, great systems. And so I figured we could learn a lot from them. And I have learned a ton. Like literally, if just buying the gym was just to learn how the franchisee relationship is, what type of support, what type of training, like what all went into that, it was well worth it. And so I did that mostly for that reason. Secondly, because I worked there as a part-time trainer when I was first getting Augusta Lawn Care started, and I was just working part-time like on the truck, mowing and things. I would also work part-time at the gym. And then it was crazy because 5 years later, I had bought the gym from the previous owner. So it's worked out really good from a financial standpoint. We've been able to really increase membership and revenue and things. And so it's worked out financially, but it was really, I bought the gym to learn the franchise model, learn what people complained about from a franchisee perspective. It completely changed the way we're doing franchising at Augusta. Traditionally in our industry, lawn care, the franchisor takes a royalty. So you're looking at anywhere between like 6 to 9% of a royalty that the franchisor would take. What we're doing with Augusta is doing what Anytime Fitness does, where you have a set monthly fee that you pay to the franchisor, and that's it. So it doesn't matter if you make $100,000 a month or if you make $10,000 a month. You're paying the same royalty fee, the same dollar amount every single month. It's not a percentage of revenue. And I really like that model. I learned it from Anytime Fitness. I learned that it's great because it incentivizes the franchisee to grow their business and actually create a meaningful company instead of penalizing them by taking more and more money from them as they grow. I've been talking to more and more franchisees across many different industries, and so many of them are very frustrated because they get really, really good at the systems after 4 or 5 years and they build a really good business, but they're literally giving $15,000, $20,000 a month to the franchisor because they're paying a royalty fee, like a percentage, and as they grow their business more, they're paying more and more to the franchisor. And it just doesn't make sense. So I really want to incentivize people to grow $1 million plus business underneath the brand of Augusta Lawn Care. that's when it's like actually a sellable asset, a real company that they can retire on, that can pass down to their family, that can support a family. And so I'm really, literally, if it was just that one thing, the way that we're going to collect franchise, because the franchisor has to make money. We have to support, we have to give support, we have to do back-end support, we have to do training, the website stuff, all the marketing things that there's a lot behind the scenes. It costs money to run a franchise. But what I want to make sure it does is that it doesn't penalize as they grow, so that they can scale and make a bigger company and actually make it something interesting. Instead of a lot of the other companies that are in our lawn care kind of franchise market, a lot of the franchisees, because I've talked to so many of them, after like $400,000, $500,000 in revenue, they stop growing because they can't afford the increase in more and more royalty fees going out every single month. So we're saying that as a cap. It's just $500 a month for the first year, and then it's $1,200 a month for every year thereafter. So if you're making $100,000 in revenue each month, that $1,200 fee is literally 1.2% of revenue, compared to like 6 to 10% compared to our competitors in the franchise space. So that's kind of our unique selling proposition. On top of this, the business model of what we're trying to do to focus on residential clients. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to. I know a couple of other questions, I didn't write them out here, but there's a bunch of other questions I had, things like, what was my end all be all for business? Like, where do I want to go in business? And like my big thing is a little more purpose driven. That is like, I want every small business owner in America to be able to, when someone thinks about small business or starting a business, they think about me. Kind of like Dave Ramsey is for personal finance and for budgeting. Like if your friend wants to make a budget, you point them in the direction of like the Total Money Makeover and Dave Ramsey and his stuff. I want it to be when someone's like, oh, I'm going to start a business. Their friend's like, hey, you should listen to Mike Andes and make sure you get set up correctly and like have the right model and the marketing and things like that. And so that's like my end all be all, is like the small business owners who I'm really passionate about. And in the microcosm, like the next 10 years, it's to build Augusta Lawn Care into the largest lawn care franchise that has the greatest success ratio of franchisees. So like right now, in the next year, I'm getting 10 franchisees the next few months, 50 in the next year, that I'm going to be super laser focused on making sure they're successful. So for the past year and a half or so, we've been setting Augusta Lawn Care locally up for me to leave and me to be able to focus on the franchisees alone, and then use the local headquarters as more of like a training facility. And so that's been, a learning process. And then now as I step out and focus on the franchisees, the first 10 are super imperative. Like if you fill out the form because right now I'm talking, this is July. In August is when we can start selling franchises. Right now we're just getting leads. We're just getting people who are interested, and then we're going to pick 10 of those people. So right now we have 30 some odd people. We'll probably have like 60 or 70 when it's all said and done. We're going to choose 10 of those people to become franchisees starting next spring. And then once we actually get them all going, like I'm going to be visiting them one-on-one. I'm going to be in the trenches with those, especially those first 10, but even the first 50, like really, really involved with each and every one of them and vetting them pretty heavily. And so I'm really looking forward to the next like 5-10 years of Augusta. And then beyond that, it's really about how do I take that knowledge and how do I take the learning of building out hundreds and hundreds of franchisees underneath the small businesses and seeing what they go through and see their struggles. And then how do we duplicate that? How do we replicate that? How do we learn from those experiences and just give to the other small business community that's out there? So that's kind of like the long-term goal, I guess you could say, for now. So, I'd love to take a company public. One day I might run for office just for kicks. I never want to get in office. I never want to do that. But I'd run for it just for the sake of doing it. And so yeah, that's kind of, so today again, maybe this is absolutely boring to you, but maybe you got to know me a little bit more, and so for some of you, it might answer some of your questions. So thank you so much. Again, if you were bored, don't worry. Next episode will be completely normal. We'll talk about business and marketing and fun stuff like that. But thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm Mike Andes. You've been listening to Business Bootcamp Podcast. Until next time, be great, because nothing else pays.